Hello everyone, and welcome to another game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from Kyle, and he's in the Tirpitz, a tier 8 premium German battleship. He is on the map Islands of Ice in a 3-point domination game. It's a tier 9 battle, but there is only one tier 9, so pretty decent matchmaking. There's no carrier, and I think he's running a full secondary build. I mean, he definitely has the full secondary range, so I presume he has taken all the lovely secondary skills. And his RNG was not with him in this one. Well, I mean, he's in a Tirpitz, you know. Can't expect to hit a broadside cruise at 14 kilometers. Anyway, so he has made his way over to A. And there is actually a large friendly force here. Well, some of the friendly force is still a little bit timid there. And there barely are any enemies around so far. So we hopefully will see some brawling. Now, the secondaries are opening up. And he is currently turning away. I mean, there is a Jarvis, so he might be concerned about some torpedoings. But honestly, I think I would have... I mean, okay, I tend to be rather aggressive here, right? I think I would have just held position here. More or less nose in. With a slight angle. But anyway. He is not going very far. He has found himself the Charles again, and you know, this time he's getting 4 overpens, because that's just how it is. And there is the Jarvis. Secondaries are having some fun with that, so that's good. Now, the friendly force on the other side is, well, let's just say very timid. But I mean, they are outnumbered, so they are playing it very passive. Can't really fault them for it. But it also means the enemy has now 2 capture points. And this is really why I would say I'd want to be more aggressive here at A. And why I probably would have already taken a more aggressive approach already. But I mean, there's still plenty of time left. Now the friendlies are 2 ships behind. Because, well, a friendly battleship tried to push a destroyer in smoke and that didn't work out. But I feel like a push here through the center towards those ships would work well, especially with the friendly destroyers around here. The Jarvis is currently spotted again. Oh, finally getting some citadels into the Charles. And well, he's switching his secondary. I mean, obviously you no longer need to select the target for your secondaries, even if you spec old manual secondary skill. But selecting a target will increase the accuracy. So you definitely wanna select the priority target here. And well, in good old Tirpitz fashion, those shells missed again. But of course it is high time to push in, and he will certainly do so right now. Now the friendly Akatsuki here, well, I mean, I think he was spotting the Jarvis earlier, and he is... I mean... Akatsuki, I feel like... Wait, this is the tier... Is that the tier 7 one? Okay. I always mix up the tier 7 and the tier 8. So anyway, as a tier 7 one, you don't necessarily want to be in a gunfight, but with so much support, I feel like he could have kept spotting the Jarvis a bit more. Gone a bit after it. Because, you know, it's not just like your guns against the enemy destroyer's guns, it's like your friends' guns as well. And the Akatsuki definitely has a lot more friends. Now, Kyle would obviously have loved more support, and one reason why he isn't, he hasn't been more aggressive earlier on, I feel like, is because most likely none of the friendlies would have followed. Well, I mean, his division mate is in a hipper, so not the best ship to charge in. He would have provided some fire support, but you know. And this is where I admit that I tend to be a little bit too aggressive, right? In a situation where I see like, yeah, well, I don't know, we have like 8 ships, the enemy has 3, we should push in, but then you realize that you are the only one who is fighting the 3, and you just have 7 observers in the bank. Now, here is the Jarvis. Obviously, the Jarvis is probably going to torp, so he's going to turn left here. And this is also where I have to keep in mind that you don't have to put your nose towards where the destroyer is right now, but where you think he has torped, and he thinks he has torped from here, which is perfect prediction. So, masterful dodge here by Kyle. And now he's coming up to a Tirpitz, and well, there are some friendly torps coming. It's okay, he probably wants to turn right anyway. Now the question is how to approach this Tirpitz. Tirpitz has torpedoes, well, obviously. And so they're both trying to torp each other. If he's in a position to use his own torps, then Tirpitz will torp back. But he's still at full health. And the question is just how careful does he want to play it, right? He could like build a little bit more distance and then come away in an angle where, you know, the enemy can't torp him back. He might even be oh no, the Tirpitz is peeking, so well, torps off. Now personally I would immediately slow down and turn left. I mean, he was already trying to turn right, so he committed to the turn, but he's very easy to torp in this situation. And he's also full broadside. Personally, my instinct would have been slow down as much as I can and like try to turn more towards the left. Now he's going to eat probably 2. Yeah, 2. Which is a bit of a shame. I mean, he was caught in a bad situation, I think, because he was already like turning away when the enemy Tirpitz appeared. And obviously rudder shift of the Tirpitz isn't the greatest. But you know, I mean, he's still floating and the enemy Tirpitz is not. So, yeah, it's the good news. Now the enemy Akatsuki is moving in and this Jarvis should be done for here. Gunboat or not, the Akatsuki should be able to deal with, well, unless he's getting tall. Well, he dodged the torps, so there we go. Now, of course, overall, the friendlies are 1 ship ahead, but they are behind like 300 points. Because they haven't gotten many objectives so far. Now, if friendlies want to push, but how do you approach this? Now, Kyle could just go straight into B. But he's probably concerned a little bit about crossfire. He's also not the healthiest right now. He still has 3 heals left, so if he can survive long enough to get to those heals, that's going to be beneficial. Now, right now, he's a little bit too broadside to the friendly battleships there in the south, but they aren't paying any attention to him, I think. And he can farm the Ashitaka. He's also not paying attention to him because he's also a bit too broadside to that one. Now, if he were to push directly into B, he'll end up in a crossfire between those guys. And they would most definitely like pay attention to him because, you know, if a ship is charging towards you, that usually gets enemies' attention. I think he should have gone for 1 more salvo against the Ashitaka there. But I mean, he also had a broadside to shoot down there, so it's fine. Now, once he deals with the Ashitaka, he will have cleared the... Well, I mean, there's the Colorado who is running away, but that's too far away to be too much of a concern. So if he can deal with the Ashitaka, he can then push into B directly without worrying too much about a crossfire. He can angle against those. And it's an Ashitaka there with. So now comes the push for B. Now, meanwhile, the enemies down there are still occupied with friendlies. Now, this is where it's pretty lucky that the enemy team isn't playing this smarter, because the friendlies would never consider pushing into B. The friendly force down here would probably sit in A until the world ends. But the enemy team, despite having more objectives, is more than happily pushing into the friendly forces. So the friendlies are forced to fight as much as they try to avoid it. They tried to avoid pushing into A, they now try to avoid pushing into B, but the enemy doesn't let them get away with desertion, basically. So anyway, now the enemy has been dealt a severe blow actually, so this game is probably a friendly game. The enemy still has the points, they still have the camps, but they shouldn't have the ships to hold on to that. Because Kyle is most certainly going forward, and you know, I mean, the friendly ships might accidentally go forward, so there is that. Now, I'd also like to point out that it's a bit understandable for cruisers to be more in the bank. And it's always a little bit of a problem, because as a cruiser you don't want to be the niche. Oh, you found the Erland, that's nice. So secondaries gonna open up. And the Erland is potentially well, potentially turning to Torp here. Now, personally, I would go here more towards the left again. Now, obviously he wants his secondaries to open up. So as to show a little bit of broadside there. Maybe Ilsven wants to use his rear guns, but personally I think I would go a little bit more nose in towards the Öland, just in case he's hoping right now. Well, and it looks like the Öland has so far. Oh, and there is a München. Now it looks like he wants to use his rear guns on the München once again. Like, this is well, I mean, he's dodging friendly torps at least. And it looks like he's dodging the enemy torps too. So there is that. So everything is fine. Now we've just lost the Skane. Well, a Scone. The enemy had themselves a tasty Scone. But it got the Öland detected again. And this time they might be able to finish it off before it escapes. Oh yeah, that's like one secondary hit. Come on, secondaries. Give us a close quarters. There we go. Now, unfortunately, Kyle is currently in the process of beaching in front of a Riga, or a broadside, because armor piercing can hurt a lot. He might be able to actually go in concealment, and that's why he stopped firing, probably. So, well, and he's camping, so he can eject himself now. Now, what I was trying to say earlier, before the Öland got spotted, I understand that cruisers, they don't want to be the ones pushing forward, and with the friendly battleships today being so passive, I understand that the Shores and the Suma didn't want to be that aggressive. The friendly Hipper tried to sail more into a flanking position there in the south. As a Hipper, you are more of a long-range damage dealer, I suppose. So as I said, I can understand the passiveness of cruisers, because the cruisers definitely don't want to be charging in against battleships. That's not a very healthy way. But if the friendly battleships would have counter-pushed the enemy battleships, it would have been a lot better. But anyway, you know, so far, so good. Because it's very unlikely that those 3 enemy ships are going to turn it around. Now Kyle is just waiting for the Riga to sail away here broadside and then unleash the Tirpitz guns. And are you prepared for disappointment? Because it's Tirpitz guns, and that was a disappointment. Now, interesting enough, he didn't even get detected. I wouldn't have expected this island to provide such cover anyway. So, he is going to move towards sea now. I mean, the thing is, if you get into these awkward beaching situations in like a battleship, it takes ages to extract yourself, right? Because you slowly gotta reverse, and then you slowly gotta switch from reverse to going forward and turn. Also, by the way, let's speed this up. Currently nothing is happening. And soon he might even be able to engage the Colorado here. Oh! Hey, let's see. Well, was I getting too excited there? Oh, come on, broadside Colorado, nice. Well, I mean, it's still Tirpitz guns. So it gets 2 overpens. But he still has his rear guns, if he can turn them in time. And there he's getting a secondary battery load expert. Now, it's a bit late, but, you know. Well, there was an overpen in the ricochet, so, you know, Tirpitz guns never disappoint. You can see. Well, the problem here is the Riga, right? Riga has 12-kilometer radar, so the friendly destroyer has to be rather careful. And let's face it, while the friendlies are behind, they are on track to overtake the enemy. It can still easily be lost, right? Simply because of points. If the friendlies lose a ship, this will switch models the enemy. And the friendly points income might be higher, but there isn't that much time left, right? If the friendlies lose a ship or 2, they might still be losing this. So, because I'm yeah, but oh, he's found the Colorado. And that was a very nice salvo. Obviously the Corrado is going to retaliate, and that was also a very nice salvo. But they are going to get the Corrado. It's like, in situations like this, I honestly have to say you don't need spotting if you're in a Tirpitz. Like, you're in a freaking Tirpitz. There is no destroyer that's going to ambush you, right? You're facing a battleship, a München and a Riga. You can totally provide your own spotting. Yes, the München also outspots you, but who cares if it shoots you see it? The enemy, like, you know. And the friendly destroyer had a valid concern with radar. The Riga was last spotted pretty close to sea, might be behind this island. If the Akatsuki pushes in with that low health, and the Riga raiders, then the Akatsuki is dead. And there is so many big ships left. And as I said, they can't, like, the enemy will be visible if they shoot. They can do their own spotting, basically. And there isn't an enemy that's going to torpedo ambush you. But, of course, oh, the friend has just lost a ship, right? The enemy is still pretty close there with points, but right now, this is most likely. There is 1 minute left. The enemy would have to sink, I don't know, 2 or 3 ships without losing one. And at this point, I consider that rather unlikely. Although, I mean, they could easily sink Kyle, and they could sink the Akatsuki if they see it, which they won't, because the Riga is too far away. Now, the secondaries are having some fun with the München there. Well, München is probably having less fun, and oh, for once, the shells actually kinda converge on the enemy. So yeah, this is a win. Well, that brings us to the results, and Kyle earned himself 2,634 base experience. Nicely done, nicely done. He achieved a Confederate to close quarters experts at Dreadnought and a high caliber, scoring 219,000 points of damage, which is pretty decent for a Tirpitz, you know. And once again showing that brawling isn't entirely dead just yet, even though it's getting harder and harder to achieve. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and I'll see you next time.